to another edition of From the Frontlines. I'm joined today by Megan Lunn. She's a senior at Sheridan High School. Hey, Megan.
Hi.
Megan was one of the fortunate few to come down with COVID-19 really at the very beginning of the school year. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so I went through all of summer. I really didn't wear my mask. I hate saying that, but I didn't, and I was not cautious of the 6 feet of my personal health bubble. And school set in, and all my friends went back to college, and so I went to go visit them, and I believe that's where I got it. But then, I'm young and I'm healthy, and I thought, okay, well, if I've done this all summer not wearing a mask, I'm fine. I'm not gonna get it. And then I got it the beginning of the school year, and I was so mad at myself.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about that. I asked you earlier, were you scared? And you said not really scared because you're young and healthy and you presumably would fare fairly well, but you said you were embarrassed. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so at the time, I was the third case, I believe, at Sheridan, and you didn't really hear a lot about teens or kids getting COVID. It was more of like you knew it was the older ages. And so to be a number and like everyone talk about me at school and be like, oh, she's got the COVID. I was embarrassed, and I felt really bad that I sent so many people home, or, they're talking about me. Like, it was almost like the cheese touch from Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I had the COVID, like, cross your fingers, don't touch me.
So the Centers for Disease Control will say that kids have very mild symptoms or few symptoms at all, but it wasn't like that for you. It got kind of bad, didn't it?
Yeah, so I always said built up 2 weeks, a week, where I just had a sore throat. And then I realized, I was like, okay, maybe I should get tested. So I got tested, and as soon as I did, that's when all of my symptoms started showing up, like one by one, but I would notice it. And I don't know if maybe it was because I was tested and I was like, okay, I have it. And I was finally noticing them, and I wasn't noticing them before, if that makes sense. But yeah, I was just out of breath doing little things like walking up and down the stairs or getting in and out of bed. And I just felt like I was going to pass out all the time, and I got nauseous, and I was so tired.
Tell me about the fatigue, because you said that was probably the worst symptom of them all.
Yeah, that was the major one. I was just sleeping all the time. Like I wouldn't say I was sleeping 24 hours, but it was close. Like I'd wake up, eat, and then I'd go back to bed, and I'd wake up probably around like 5, eat my dinner, and then go back to bed and wake up in the morning. And it's just you're so exhausted, and it's not like I wanted to sleep. I wanted to take a nap. It was just my body needed to. Like that's what it had to do, is sleep.
So I know one of the most common symptoms is that loss of taste and smell. Mm-hmm. What is that like? Because it sounds so bizarre. I can't even fathom what it's like.
Well, it's weird at first. And I've heard some people say they like didn't get it back. And when I heard that while I had it, I was like freaking out. I was like, no, like I have to have my taste. I have to have my smell. Like there's no way I can go my rest of my life without my taste and smell. But I mean, it was kind of fun to experiment if I could taste this or taste that. But it just, I mean, I don't know. It was just weird.
Yeah, you said that Gatorade tasted like water, and that
it tasted like water. And then my dad made me a super spicy chicken wings. That's what I asked him to make me, because I don't handle spice well. And then he does, so he made it really spicy, and he said it made him like cry a little bit, sweat, and I didn't taste them.
I think it's interesting too that you never spiked a fever. That's common symptoms that we sometimes hear about, and you never lost your appetite.
Yeah, I did not lose my appetite, which, like I said, I don't know if it's because that was like the most fun during my days when my parents would bring food to my door, and I could eat and watch Netflix. But I mean, that's really that. I was hungry, but I just couldn't taste or smell. And then What was the other question?
Well, I think that goes to show that everybody's symptoms are very quite different depending on who's got it. Like none of these symptoms necessarily relates to every single
really
person.
depends on the person. Like if you like which symptoms you show and what you don't. And personally, like I don't think my temperature ever is super high. So I think that's why I didn't spike a fever. So like my temperature is lower. Like when I take it at school, it's like 96. And the highest I got was 98, which for me though is probably a temperature, like a fever kind of. That's when I was feeling my fever, was when I was at 98.
So you were talking about isolating. And for those who aren't familiar with it, you know, you may be sent home because you've come into contact with someone with COVID. And in that situation, you are quarantining. But if you actually have COVID, you are supposed to isolate in your home, in a room by yourself for 10 days. Tell me what that was like.
Well, it's kind of, I mean, it's boring. And I was going stir crazy. I know that. There were times where I'd be like pacing. When I started to feel better, I'd like stretch. Like, cause I was just so bored. Or I'd scream, "Oh, I just want to go to school," or I want to be with my friends.
Mm-hmm.
You just come upstairs.
You were telling me that some of your highlights were even just talking through the door to your parents on the other side.
So how our house is set up, my room is right here. I don't know if this is gonna be a good example, but then like my door is like angled a little bit, and then we have the hallway, and she would sit in the hallway, and I'd be in my bed in my room, and she'd talk to me. And that's when we had some senior paperwork to fill out. So she was like, "We gotta fill this out," and we filled it out and talked, and I was just like, "Oh my gosh, Mom, like I just want to come out of my room."
Yeah, I know when I don't feel well, you want to be loved on a little bit too. So that had to be incredibly difficult to not be able to be in contact with Mom and Dad. Amazingly, neither one of your mom or dad got sick.
No, and no one that I came in contact with did either, which is weird because I feel like I had like a strong case. I don't know if that's a thing, but I got all the symptoms, and it took me down for about 10 days. And even when I had that scratchy throat, I was at school. No one got it that came in contact with me. And then my friend that I saw that few days before did not get it, and my parents didn't.
So having been through it, how has it changed your approach to the virus?
I definitely am more cautious now about like 6 feet. Not like I'm not measuring it, but I'm just giving people their space and myself the space. Like at the grocery store or at the zoo, or even at school. Like I don't know. I just don't. It's almost uncomfortable now that I know like that could be the outcome. And I'm more like, do you have your mask? You make sure to bring your mask. Like I'm always wearing my mask. And I really appreciate being able to do the things we can do, because in the summer when quarantine was a thing, I feel like none of us really took it that serious. So when I was actually quarantined and I could not do anything and I could not even leave my room, I have so much appreciation for being able to go to school and go to the zoo or go to the park or the grocery store, even if I have to wear a mask and stay socially distanced. Like I'm very appreciative.
Well, I was going to mention that because you are a member of the Sheridan High School Show Some Class Teen Task Force. Mm-hmm. Was this kind of an instigating factor for you wanting to join that group and to kind of share the message with your school?
I believe so. I mean, I've always I love being a part of things where I can get my voice out and be a figure people can look up to, but I also feel like I was only one of the few that could really talk to people my age and be like, this is real, you can get it. Like, it's not just your grandparents. Mm-hmm. And really make it known, like, it's a thing, and we all need, if we all get it, if we're not going to be at school, and you trust me, you want to be at school, because that was not fun.
So let me ask you this last question. Cases are on the rise. Flu season's ahead of us. It's getting cold outside and we're all moving inside. We're going to maybe or maybe not be together for the holidays. What would you say to those who don't believe it's true, or are just say, you know what, I don't care. I'm over it, and I don't care if I get COVID.
Um, I don't know. Frankly, I mean, I would say get COVID. Then, like, if you want to act that way, then get it. Then tell me that you don't care and it's not real, because that's how I felt. But listening to stories and like even teenagers, how we get it, kids, and just honestly too, I think it's respecting others in a way of like, you need to be careful and wear your mask and stay distant so that you can go see your grandpa that has underlying conditions, or your friend has underlying conditions. Because if you get it, I mean, that puts others at risk too that live in your home. Because my parents could have easily gotten it. I don't know how they didn't, but they definitely could have, and I would have felt so bad. But I just think knowing that it's not just you and it's not all about you, that it's really we're all in this together. So if we all participate in wearing our masks and stay socially distanced and just do what we can, hand sanitize, then that's protecting others, not just yourself. Like, who cares if you don't want to get it? But you should care about the others that don't want to get it.
Megan, I can't thank you enough for sharing your story. It's awful brave. I know as a teenager, it's difficult to put yourself out there sometimes, especially when it's something that's, less than optimal. So I appreciate that, really, honestly, from the bottom of my heart, because I do think that there are a lot of kids out there who will benefit from having heard your story. So thank you.